Today, we are diving into a really remarkable intellectual journey. It's a quest that kicks off with some of the biggest questions you can ask about life, and, believe it or not, ends with a super detailed, high-tech plan for an entire nation's future. It's a story about one person trying to find salvation, not just for himself, but for his whole country. So, the whole journey starts with this really powerful idea. Life isn't about the beginning or the end, it's this brief, bright moment in between two vast unknowns. And framing it that way really forces you to ask, okay, so what do we do with this little bit of light we're given? How do we make the most of this fleeting moment? To really get the answers he comes up with, we first have to understand how he thinks. And to do that, he invites us into what he calls his palace of thought. But this palace, it isn't some building made of brick and mortar. Nope, it's an internal home. It's a portable space just for ideas that he can take with him wherever he goes. And it's from this unique internal perspective that this whole quest really gets going. He sees this entire journey as a quest for soteria, and that's a Greek word that means both salvation and survival. It's about saving what's most essential, making sure there is a future. And this whole quest, he says, is guided by three core questions that basically act as his compass. And here they are. These are the big ones, aren't they? Questions we all probably ask ourselves. First up, who am I? Then, where am I actually going? Not just in my career, but in this whole grand journey of existence. And finally, the big one. What is the point of it all? These three questions, they become the foundation for everything that comes next. And that deep philosophical exploration pretty quickly smacks right into a painful reality. Because while he was wrestling with these big ideas, his homeland, Cyprus, was facing a massive crisis that needed answers, and fast. You see, the 2012 financial crisis, it wasn't just about money. It was a huge psychological shock. For the people of Cyprus, it was the end of illusions, a really brutal wake-up call about their vulnerabilities and where they really stood in the world. And this chart just shows you the shock perfectly. Just follow the bars. Before the crisis, public debt was totally manageable. No big deal. Then, bam! Look at that spike right in the middle, at the peak of the crisis. That wasn't just a statistic. It was a national emergency that forced them to rethink their entire economic system from the ground up. And out of the ashes of that crisis, one core lesson emerged, and it's captured in a single Greek word, autarkia. It means self-sufficiency. It was this stark, unavoidable realization that to survive, to have any kind of real freedom, Cyprus had to learn to stand on its own 2 feet. So this new mission for self-sufficiency led to a pretty simple question. What resources does Cyprus actually have a ton of? Well, the answer was obvious. The sun and the sea. And he tells this great little story. His old flatmate was from the Orkney Islands in Scotland, which, is not exactly known for its sunny beaches. And yet their local school had solar panels, just as a matter of principle. Meanwhile, you've got Cyprus just drenched in sunlight, one of the sunniest spots in Europe, and it was barely using this incredible resource. That contrast was a huge call to action. The solution he proposes starts small, right at the individual level, with a system called net metering. And it's beautifully simple. Your solar panels make electricity during the day. You use whatever you need, and any extra just gets sent back to the main grid. The grid basically becomes your energy bank account, giving you credit you can use at night. All of a sudden, every single home becomes its own little power plant. And the need for this kind of change is just so stark. You can see it right here. A whopping 94% of their energy came from imported petroleum products. That gigantic slice of the pie represents a massive vulnerability. And that tiny little sliver for renewables, well, that's the opportunity. That's the path to independence. And here's where the benefits just start to multiply. Because self-sufficiency in energy could actually solve another huge problem they have, water scarcity. Desalination, turning seawater into fresh water, is a proven technology. The only catch is it takes a ton of energy. But what if you could power it with cheap, abundant solar energy? Well, that changes the entire game. This line of thinking goes way beyond individual solutions. It leads to this incredibly ambitious long-term vision, a blueprint for a completely new, decentralized national system. Now, this is not a quick fix. This is a 40-year roadmap.
As you can see, it all starts in the 2020s with individual homes getting solar. Then, in the 2030s, you move on to electrifying cars and heating. But the final stage from the 2040s onward, that's a complete paradigm shift, a totally decentralized grid where energy is traded between people, almost like a stock market for electricity.
So you might be wondering, okay, how do you possibly manage millions of tiny transactions securely without a big company in the middle? Well, the answer lies in decentralized technology, something like the blockchain that powers cryptocurrencies. It creates a secure public record book that allows for direct person-to-person exchanges, completely cutting out the middleman.
Let's look at a really cool, concrete example of this. Imagine this. Your house is making extra solar energy, so you export it to a local fuel station. That station then uses your power to create clean hydrogen. Then, cars come along and fill up with that locally produced, totally clean fuel. As you can see, it's a perfect, self-sustaining loop.
But after laying out this whole incredible technical blueprint, our thinker brings us right back to where he started, back to the philosophical core of his quest. He realized the ultimate answer wasn't actually in the plan itself. He quotes the famous poem Ithaca, and the whole point of Odysseus' epic voyage wasn't the island he finally got back to. It was the journey itself, the wisdom, the experience, the person he became along the way. And it's the same idea here. The goal of self-sufficiency is important, sure, but the real value is in the struggle and the learning it takes to even try to get there.
And he leaves us with this final, really provocative thought from the author, Nikos Kazantzakis. The quest isn't just for us. It's more like a relay race. Our duty is to take everything we've learned, everything we've built, and hand it all to the next generation with one single command: do better, go further, surpass us. And maybe that is the ultimate purpose of the whole journey.